Hey guys, how are things going out there in Watcherland? Let me make sure I can see myself on YouTube here. Yep, it looks like we are live.
The best thing in the whole wide world.
Or should I say I'm live? Okay, I'm live. So I am going to get this one started quickly. I told Buckeye Alex that I wanted to be in and out by a certain time or in a certain time frame. So I am going to. I see one person is coming. Hey, whoever that is that just came in, can you hear me? As Chris Tucker said in uh, Rush Hour, can you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth? Can you guys hear me? Yes, no, maybe. The microphone I was using is down right now, so I'm using the audio from the computer. Okay, Adrian says yes. Thank you. Thank you, Adrian. Okay, I'm going to play Let's Go Blue, and then I'm going to jump in, and then Alex is going to join me, and whoever else wants to join us, you can do that. I want to get in and out in 60 to 90 minutes, and then catch another episode of House of the Dragon, and I got to finish up the latest episode of the Lakers documentary. So I'm going to play Let's Go Blue, and then I'll jump in, and then once our Buckeye representative shows up, he can come in and tell us. He can come in and self-aggrandize about Ohio State and why Ohio State is so great. All right, let's go blue. All right, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. Anwar Youssef Dunbar, and this is Big Discussions 76 Sports. First of all, please, well, shout out to Bo Lido. If you see fit, respect is earned. If you see fit, please like this stream. Please share it. Please subscribe. If you want to make a donation, the super chat is live. My Cash App and PayPal are below in the description box, and you can leave a super thanks if you see fit. Your eyeballs are more than enough. Okay. Um, and so for the new people to the channel, I introduced myself as Dr. Anwar Dunbar. I actually did my PhD at the University of Michigan from 1999 until 2005. So I was there for the end of the Lloyd Carr years. Speaking of which, Lloyd Carr, congratulations to Lloyd Carr. They named the tunnel after him. I think that's the tunnel leading from the parking lot into the big house. I don't think it's the tunnel they run through where they slap the banner. I think it's the tunnel they going from the outside of the big house to the inside underneath where all the locker rooms and all the facilities are. But congratulations to Coach Lloyd Carr. Adrian, I want to thank you for being here. And CR Frank, thank you for being here. CR Frank, yeah, you were over on my science stream on Sunday when we were talking about nuclear technology, and we were talking about health physics and radiation safety protection over on my science channel. I have multiple channels, but CR Frank, you were over there. Joseph Allen. Oh yes, yes. Thank you for stopping through. Always thank you for coming back. I appreciate that. I hope it's worth your while and you keep coming back. Okay, everyone. So this is just a for me as a Michigan fan, it's going to be a pre-Iowa, it's going to be a post-Maryland pre-Iowa discussion. I kind of wanted to open it up a little bit. Alex is a Buckeye, so there's a lot of news coming out of Columbus and regarding how good their defense is. And I have some words from Joel Klatt here, where he's saying that it looks like they have a quote unquote requisite defense down in Columbus. But anyway, let's just briefly go over the scores from last weekend, and then I'll talk about the Iowa prediction, and then I think Alex, he said he's going to show up. Hopefully he doesn't show up at 8:30. Last week he showed up really, really late, but I let him on. Okay, last week's results. Last week's results. Big Ten results. Yeah, so last week was overall, it was technically week 4, but for the Big Ten, it was week 1. So Wisconsin, well, they lost. They were handed a lopsided defeat by our scarlet and gray friends down in Columbus. Iowa found some offense and put up 27 points on Rutgers. Minnesota handed Sparty a lopsided loss. What's wrong with Michigan State this year? Are they missing Kenneth Walker that much? Minnesota beat them 34-7. Of course, our game, we squeaked out the win against Maryland. Penn State beat Central Michigan handily. That's not a surprise. They're, I think, is Central Michigan, is that considered the group of 5? You have the Power 5 and their group of 5. And then finally, Purdue just barely beat Florida Atlantic. And I think those were all the Big Ten scores. I'm not going to go over all the scores from college football, but those are the Big Ten scores. So those were the Big Ten scores. The current Big Ten standings are this. I mean, not much separation. It's only been 1 week. The Big Ten standings. All right, so you have a temporary logjam at the top. Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, and Indiana are all 1-0. Yeah, they're all 1-0. So, and then the rest, that's in the Big Ten East. So Rutgers, Michigan State, and Maryland are all winless. And then out in the Big Ten West, Northwestern is 1-0, Minnesota is 1-0, and Iowa is 1-0. And we're going out to Kinnick Stadium on Saturday. Okay, our resident Buckeye is here. Alex, give me a few minutes and I will drop the link so you can come up. Okay, so just briefly, I dropped a reaction video to our victory over Maryland. It wasn't pretty, but as they say, a W is a W. I'm going to sprint through this really quickly. If you're just coming in, please hit that like button. The likes are free, and they help out a hell of a lot. Okay, so Michigan defeated Maryland 34-27. A W is a W. I mean, there were growing pains for JJ. There were growing pains for the play callers, our dual play callers, and I think aside from that opening touchdown, I think a lot of folks felt like Jim Mora back in the day.
We couldn't make a first down. We couldn't run the ball. We didn't try to run the ball. We couldn't complete a pass. We sucked. The second half, we sucked. We couldn't stop the run. Every time they got the ball, they went down and got points.
Okay, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. But one of the things, I was listening to a lot of I was listening to the commentary within the game and a lot of the post-game discussions. And one of the things that keeps coming up, or one of the things that kept coming up, one of the things that Joel Klatt, he's one of the Fox guys. He's part of that team. One of the things Joel Klatt pointed out during the game was that Michigan has two co-offensive coordinators, Sharon Moore and Matt Weiss. And Joe Klatt was very, very critical about that.
At one point in our meetings, I almost got a little sassy. I was like, stop, time out. Who has veto power? And he was like, well, no one has veto power. And I was like, no, stop. Who has veto power? Well, no one has veto power except for Coach Harbaugh.
And Joel also had this opinion, and I took a little bit of his post-game discussion. He also felt like this in terms of Sharon Moore and Matt Weiss.
Great play callers also know that you never get bored taking a profit. And if something's there and it's working, stay with it. Stay with it. I felt like Michigan got away from some things that were really working, in particular in the run game, in order to try things that were on their call sheet.
Yeah. So in terms of the play calling, I mean, the way Maryland was playing Michigan, they were blanketing the wide receivers downfield. So it was hard, especially for a young quarterback like JJ. All those guys deep, they were blanketed. So the underneath stuff, you could see that was open, the tight ends, the underneath routes. And I thought that, and I think Joel Klatt felt the same way, that Michigan should have kept exploiting those underneath routes, those sideline routes. And eventually they did. Of course, Blake Corum had a monster game, but the game was a bit of a struggle. Maryland did come to play, so it wasn't a, as you can see from the score, it wasn't a lopsided victory. Maryland came ready to play. They had a game plan. Their quarterback Talia Tagovailoa, he came ready to play. He was ripping off his helmet and yelling at our fans after he got that. Oh, there's a fire truck outside. Hold on. I live right on a main road here, so anytime emergency vehicles go by, you can hear the sounds. So it was a tough game. But we were able to pull it out behind the running of Blake Corum, and JJ did get a couple of touchdown throws in there, and there were a couple of timely interceptions when we needed them. And then of course Mike Morris hit Talia Tagovailoa, knocked him out of the game. But then again, the Maryland backup quarterback came in and he was able to move the ball as well. So shout out to Johnny Olden. I think, yeah, the linebackers. His opinion was that the linebacking core needs to step it up a little bit more. Fewer arm tackles, and they just need to go in there and play that position with more of a reckless abandon. So Michigan won that game 34-27. JJ McCarthy went 18 for 26 for 220 yards and 2 touchdowns. Blake Corum carried the ball 30 times for 243 yards. And Luke Schoonmaker caught 7 balls for 72 yards. Talia Tagovailoa, before he got knocked out, he went 20 for 30 for 207 yards and 1 touchdown. Hemby, I can't think what the R stands for. He carried the ball 6 times for 48 yards. And C. Dyches, he caught 3 balls for 60 yards. Okay, so I'm not going to get into the weeds with this. Again, if you're just coming in, please hit that like button. The likes are free. The Wolverines. Thank you, Alex. Yeah, the Wolverines. Their next opponent. Are those all the discussion points I had for Maryland? Yeah, I think the good thing is we got the W. And the other good thing is JJ is just going to learn from that. He's just going to learn. He's just going to get better. So we got the win. And the other thing I liked was that even though he missed a lot of times, he kept looking for those downfield throws when they were there, because some of them were there, especially once Blake was getting off and asserting himself on the ground. But JJ kept throwing. So I think that he learned some things. our offensive coordinators, our co-offensive coordinators, even though Joe Klatt had to get sassy with them, they learned something, and I think the team's going to be better off going forward. That game, before I move on, it very much reminded me of Super Bowl 25. I'm a Buffalo native. The Bills Mafia, we just suffered a tough loss on Sunday to Tua's older brother. But in Super Bowl 25, just briefly, it was the same deal. The New York Giants, they flooded the backfield, so Jim Kelly couldn't throw down to James Lofton and Andre Reed and those guys. But it was the run game. When a defense floods the backfield, it leaves the front areas open. Michigan figured that out. The Buffalo Bills didn't. That's why we don't have any Super Bowls. But that's what that game reminded me of. Okay, so Michael showed up. Thank you for showing up, Michael. Also, Let's Toast Media is here as well. Thank you for stopping through Let's Toast Media. Everyone, please hit that like button. All right, Michigan's next opponent. Yeah, Joseph. He and as Devin Gardner and Sam Webb and Al Borges said, and they have a really good podcast where they go over the X's and O's and they break down all the pass plays. So if you guys haven't seen that, I would subscribe to the Wolverine podcast with Steve Dace. Whatever that podcast is where Devin Gardner and Sam Webb and Al Borges where they talk, that's a really good, yeah. If you want to learn about the X's and O's and all the little facets of offense, you should watch that. But he had 4 chances for big plays. He also, on that RPO to Blake Corum, if he had kept it and he ran it, he would have gotten the first down. So he made a mistake there. And also the play where he kept dropping back and dropping back and dropping back. And the play was ruled a fumble instead of a forward pass. That was another big mistake. There were a lot of errors on Saturday that I thought if we lost, we'd be able to point back and say that cost us the game. The CJ Stokes fumble, JJ's fumble and not the forward pass. Jake Moody's missed field goal. Jake Moody never misses. He missed the field goal early on for us. And then some of the play calling from our offensive staff, most notably the first drive out of that second half, out of halftime, all those run plays, all those things could have cost us the game. But the name of the game is survive in advance, get the win week to week, move up in the polls, and try to be there at the end. Okay, if you guys have any more thoughts on Saturday's game, let me know. I was clutching my seat for a while there. I didn't think we'd pull it out. I was worried. Alex is very bullish on Talia, but they pulled it out. A W is a W. Okay. Michigan's opponent this week is the Iowa Hawkeyes. The Iowa Hawkeyes. Kirk Ferentz's Iowa Hawkeyes out in Kinnick Stadium. I've had this circled the entire year myself because I've seen Michigan play out at Kinnick Stadium over the years, starting from the Lloyd Carr era up until now. I think Lloyd Carr in his third to last year, I remember we squeezed one out there. It was a bit of a grudge match. I think Mike Hart was hurt for that game, but fast forwarding up to the Harbaugh era, that's where we lost Wilton Speight. That's where he broke his collarbone in the 2016 season. Michigan was rolling right up to that game, and then that we lost that game. He got hurt. He was never the same, and then he wasn't himself against Ohio State, and then the rest, the rest. And it's just a tough place. That's a tough team for us to play because they play a fundamentally sound, physical style of football, and they're hard to beat out there in Kinnick Stadium. And we've got a young quarterback. We've got an uber talented quarterback. We've got a lot of talent at the skill positions. But in my opinion, that's going to be a tough game. Michigan's either going to run out in front or it's going to be a bit of a grudge match. Okay. A lot of our fans, if you're just coming in, please hit that like button. A lot of our fans early on, after seeing Iowa's struggles on offense in the last month, have said, no, don't worry about it. We're going to blow them out. Their offense sucks. We're going to destroy them. Well, they're at home. They play a disciplined, fundamental style, and they were just able to put up 27 against Rutgers. Coach Harbaugh feels the way I feel, or should I say I feel the way he feels. He is not underestimating Iowa.
They have a system. They know their system. They get good at their system. And it's a national story every year. Iowa's offense is struggling. And you read those articles, but it's that way every single year. Mm-hmm. And half the time they win the Big Ten West.
Okay, so according to Jim, the story out of Iowa all the time is that they're mediocre, they're average, their offense is always struggling. Okay, but think about the Big Ten championship game. Okay, now Cade was the quarterback instead of JJ, so it took that Donovan Edwards to Roman Wilson touchdown pass to put us on the board. And then it took some other trick plays to get our offense rolling. And then we finally pulled away in that second half. But that first half was a bit of a grudge match. So I'm hoping for the best out in Iowa City at Kinnick Stadium. Michigan is picked to win that game right now by 11 points. So Michigan is minus 10.5. So let's see how that plays out. If they protect JJ, if JJ makes better decisions, if the offensive coaching staff calls a better game, or if they call a good game, we should cruise, but that's a tough opponent in a tough place to play, in my opinion. Okay, so Alex, I'm going to bring you up in a second, but I'm gonna warm the seat by going over how your team did last week. So arguably the Maryland game was our first test. Ohio State came out and they tested themselves on their first game. So they defeated Notre Dame at home. And then they played 2 tune-up games, and then they hosted Wisconsin. And they pretty much bitch slapped Wisconsin again, like they always do. And they won 52-21. CJ Stroud went 17 for 27 for 281 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Travion Henderson carried the ball 21 times for 121 yards. And Egbuka. Alex, you might have to tell me who that guy is. He caught 6 balls for 118 yards. Graham Mertz went 11 for 20 for 94 yards. And then B. Allen carried the ball 23 times for them for 165 yards. And S. Bell caught 4 balls for 55 yards. I'm going to play 2 sound bites here. One is from Ryan Day. The other one is from, once again, our Fox expert, Joel Klatt. Everybody's looking at Ohio State to win the Big Ten East again and win the Big Ten championship. But Ryan Day says this. He said this in the post-game press conference.
We were off to a good start there. We still have a long way to go, but we still are building, we're growing. There's still a lot of things we need to get better at, a lot of things. But I think you can see that we're targeted, we're playing with an edge, running off the football.
So I think the whole thing, and Alex will tell us all about this when he comes up, is I think that in the aftermath of last year, Ohio State has been accused of being a soft program, becoming too finesse, becoming too pass happy. And now they're really trying to. Look who's here. our resident Buckeye/Laker fan. Should I give him a little bit of what he really wants? All right, Abdul, I'll give you one. I'll give you one of your favorite college football coach.
All right, and I'm going to continue to live that way and try to do what's right. And, you know, that's who Nick Saban is. All right, so regardless of what anybody says, that's who Nick Saban is.
Okay, so Joe Klatt said this about Ohio State. Every championship team needs a requisite defense. And in these words you're about to hear, Joe Klatt is suggesting that Ohio State, based upon their current statistics, right now, it looks like they have their requisite defense.
You've got to have a requisite defense. This offense, as good as it is, needs to have a requisite defense. And at least so far, it looks like Ohio State has that requisite defense.
All right, guys, if you're just coming in, please hit that like button. Those are free. All right, without further ado, Alex, I'm going to drop the link. If you want to come up, you can come up. This guy was talking about Thanksgiving 2022 back in January and February. This is how much he wants to see Michigan get beat by Ohio State down in the horseshoe. He was talking about that. He took last year's loss so hard. He's been crossing off days on his calendar. Okay. He says, the Buckeyes are locking in defensively. I'll be at Johnny B. Wiley Stadium this weekend for Alabama's matchup against Lafayette. All right. Well, I'll bring our Buckeye expert up so he can talk to us about their defense.
What say you? How you doing? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Okay. Sorry, I had a football game got rescheduled due to this storm. It's part of living in Florida, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hurricanes come by.
Hurricanes, yeah. So yeah, I think kind of touch on the Michigan game first. I think Michigan got outplayed by Maryland. Watching the game, I do. Maryland had listened. Part of winning is you might not necessarily play your best. You might get outplayed, but can you win? Right. So I definitely think Maryland outplayed Michigan. I also think that Maryland gave Michigan opportunities to win the game with 3 turnovers, and they did that. So hats off to them. A win is a win. Doesn't matter how you get it. So I give Michigan all the credit in the world for winning that game. There were a couple things I wanted to point out in that game.
Yep.
The first one was in the third quarter. I think Maryland was really taking it to Michigan, and there was a strong side blitz, and Tylua got hit right. He got hit it right as he let the ball go, and there's a receiver on the right hand side. He put the ball on the money. Receiver drops it right. That was a first down, and he was going to turn on field and probably get like another 5-6 yards. That was the same hit that Tylua got hurt on, and then he comes back in like that. To me, that at that moment in time when a receiver missed that pass, between that and their 5-star freshman getting hurt, but that drop pass kind of turned the game for me. And listen, he threw he made a bad read in the fourth quarter and threw an interception. You can't do that. As quarterback, you got to take care of the ball. So, hats off to Michigan for being ready to kind of take advantage of that opportunity when it presented itself. But I definitely think, Maryland outplayed Michigan. I think there's a lot of things to clean up. I think JJ played okay. He played like a freshman quarterback because he hasn't played very much. He did make a lot of mistakes. And he's like 1 of 4 on deep balls, and I think 7 out of 10 passes in between 5 to 10 yards. So there are some good things there. There are definitely some good things. I do have some concerns. So I think that's kind of where I'll leave it. I think they're in a good spot. I think kind of going up against Iowa next week. Iowa really can't score. Rutgers is subpar at best. You know, they're an average MAC team, I think, at this point. So I think it'll be similar to last year. I think they just have more athletes on the field. I don't think they have the opportunities to score because on defense or get turnovers because Iowa doesn't make a lot of mistakes with the football. You kind of alluded to that earlier. So I think it'd be a solid game. I think it'd be a good win. You know, just looking at Michigan's blueprint, they're really just going to try to pound you if they can. You know, and obviously that's to protect a young quarterback as well. So, you know, that's kind of like to be seen. But I think that's the way the game's going to go. Probably like somewhere around 24-17, something like that, like a one-score game. I think it'd probably be somewhere around there.
Okay, yeah. Talia, he missed that wide receiver was wide open right in the middle of the.
Yeah, right in the middle of the field, and he forced a double team. Yeah, bad read.
Yeah,
right.
So no doubt, yeah, Michigan. Yeah, there were plenty of opportunities to lose that game.
Yeah,
some things fell just right for them, like the opening play. We also benefited from that that interception. That the guy, it looked like it hit the turf, but fortunately the refs didn't review it for us.
Yeah.
That's fortunate for us. Mm-hmm. So some things lined up just right. We kind of escaped that one.
Yeah, I mean, listen. Yeah, I mean that's part of, you know, I think there's a caveat to this. I think Big Ten East is actually looking really good. I mean, listen, if Mike Locksley can not have his team make those mistakes, I mean that's a huge win for Maryland. That's a big move for the Big Ten East. So I definitely think, you know, it brings up a different discussion. Is the Big Ten East the best conference in the country? I think that remains to be seen. I think, but the way the teams are playing so far, I definitely think we can make a major case for that. Which, you know, whoever comes out of the East probably is going to win the Big Ten championship and have a spot in the college football playoff. So I think that bodes, you know, that's from strength of schedule. Looking at it from that point of view, I think it definitely helps. Kind of getting through that Big Ten like marathon of a schedule. So I'm actually really high on the conference this year. So not the West. The West is terrible, but I'm high on the Big Ten East. So I'm really happy with a lot of moves some of those teams are making. They're really, really trying to improve.
Okay. And on Saturday night, you guys did what you normally do to Wisconsin.
Not typically. The games of Wisconsin are usually played pretty close, and you know we out athlete them in the third quarter. We make adjustments scheme wise. I'll say this: for all those people out there who are like a 4-2-5 doesn't work trying to stop the run, you might want to go back and look at that game. That's all I'll say. Go back and look at that game. Once the backups came in, I think the guy had. I think the game was over. The first 20 minutes the game was over. And I think their running back maybe had 60 yards. I mean, we completely shut down the running game. It was kind of unbelievable to watch. I didn't believe what I was seeing. My mind couldn't compute what was happening. So I think part of it is Wisconsin's in a semi-rebuilding year. They're really young, so they typically don't make the mistakes on the offensive line that they made. But I also think that you might contribute some of that to Jim Knowles' defense and not knowing where the guys are coming from. So you know, you got defensive ends standing up. You have linebackers flying everywhere. Like you don't know where it's coming from. So we got, you know, turnover on the bad throw from Mertz. So you know, I think the defense is. I definitely think it's heading in the right direction. You know, by no stretch of the imagination think that they're a top 10 defense in the country. I'd definitely say they're top 15, maybe top 20, but that's really all you need to win a national championship. So
that's the argument Joe Klatt was making. You made that argument as well. It needs to be so good. It doesn't need to be the Baltimore Ravens 2000 defense. It just needs to be good enough if you have a potent enough offense.
Yeah, not to mention, I mean, we're just decimated by injuries in the secondary. We were starting a redshirt freshman and a true freshman in that game. Our top 3 corners are hurt. We have basically a starter at safety that's hurt as well.
Amazon Business, you
So,
can save on supplies.
hold on.
Use that money to change
Hold on.
things.
You know what to do.
I can't mute this.
Amazon Business. Yep.
what I was saying is
business.
that what I was saying is that we played on Saturday with Ohio State played on Saturday without one of their starting safeties, a redshirt freshman and a true freshman at corner, and it was like another day at the office. It was like it's kind of like it was a Tuesday practice, so to speak, or Wednesday practice. So I was surprised. I watched the game early this morning, and that might have been probably the best 20 minutes of football they played all season. And if they can do that to a team like Wisconsin, it really scares me when they get healthy what they can do. So, and I mentioned this in our chat. Still got to be Michigan. Michigan's the man. So we lost to them last year. So, I mean, I know the AP polls say that we're ahead of them, obviously, because of opinion. But the fact of the matter is they beat us last year, and I think they deserve to be right ahead of us currently until we beat them. So that's kind of where I stand. I mean, the AP polls are kind of ridiculous. Tennessee ranking is crap. Kansas is not even ranked right now, so I don't even know how that's even happening. But because
Joe Klatt was bitching about that too.
Was he?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kansas. I don't know what's going on over there. But they're playing some ball. So, but yeah, I think I'm really shocked. I think even Wisconsin was shocked that we jumped on them that fast. And the tandem at running back. I mean, Ohio State is they're set up to really make a run if they can stay healthy. That's a big part of it. You got to stay healthy. So we'll see what happens. This week I think we have Rutgers. I mean it's Rutgers, right? But can't say.
Yeah, you guys are gonna roll them.
Yeah, probably. But you never know, right? I mean, football games are funny. They're weird. You never know what's going to happen in one. So you never take anybody for granted. You respect everybody. Respect everybody that you're playing. Respect the game, and lace them up. Let's just see what happens.
Okay, Alex, I'm going to show some statistics here, and then and then I don't have much else besides that. Now, it's only been 4 games. I mean, and most of these teams have played non-conference games. So, I mean, these don't tell us a lot. Michigan played three cupcakes.
Michigan's schedule doesn't count. Their schedule does not count.
All right. Well, okay. So right now, this is off the Big Ten website, total offense. Ohio State is leading the conference in total offense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Total, you guys have 2,235 total yards. Michigan is 3rd. Okay. But Ohio State, that's impressive. You guys beat Notre Dame. You guys just beat Wisconsin. So you guys beat 2 quality opponents. We beat a good opponent, but we only beat one good opponent.
Yeah. And you did listen. So I think there's something to take away. You played. I think Maryland is a good team, right? And you got outplayed, but you still won. So listen, that's part of. I think that's part of trying to make a run. Is sometimes you're going to be in those games where you just got to figure out a way to win, right? And that's what they did. So hats off to them. I definitely think that Mike Loxley and that defensive staff. I mean, they couldn't stop the run at all. So I definitely think they can learn from this and come back next year take it with them through the season, come out next year when they probably play guys in Ann Arbor. So and we'll see what happens then. So we'll see. But all in all, you got to win those games. No matter what happens, you got to find a way to win. So it's kind of like, the college football season is basically like surviving advance. So pretty much if you lose a game, you're done. So it's kind of how you have to look at it.
All right, Let's Toast Media says, really? Beating Notre Dame in a weak Wisconsin, y'all reaching. Okay, I think this is in response to me saying you guys beat two comparable teams versus us.
I think they're two solid teams. I think they're two solid teams. So, listen, you can only play who's in front of you. You just kind of leave it at that. At the end of the season, we'll see who ends up where. We all have our opinions. We'll see what the records are at the end of the year.
And it's still early.
It's the first game in Big Ten play, fourth game of the season. So, we just have to wait and see. Listen, Notre Dame can now lose another game for the rest of the year, and then we're like, wow, well, maybe they just had that one snafu after Ohio State, like kind of snatched their soul, so to speak. Like that was a tough loss for Notre Dame, and then they lost the following week. So those things happen.
Mike, I don't agree with this. Michigan was never in danger of losing that game. I don't agree with that.
Oh, you're crazy.
No offense. That game, yeah.
You go back and watch that game. So, like Miami, not Miami. Maryland was doing whatever they wanted on offense. They were doing whatever they wanted. Whatever they shot themselves in the foot. Like you beat a team by 7 points and they had 3 turnovers. And you beat them by 7. You should have beat them by like 21 or 28 points. Like they did whatever they wanted to do. If Maryland can get that defense shored up, they're going to be something to deal with because they can't stop the run at all. I will say that. So, it's like, oh, I throw a pick. Oh, well, so we can just go run the ball and win the game. Yes, you can go run the ball and win the game. That was kind of how the game was. It was like Maryland was in control and it's like, oh man, they just messed up. So I guess we need to go down and run and score so we can get out of here with a W. And that's what happened. So they're definitely in danger of losing. Listen, the kid threw it all over the yard and he took some hits, but his receivers didn't necessarily help him either. They dropped a lot of balls. So, and I know Michigan secondary is weak. You guys got a safety that's playing. I think he played wide receiver last year. He's okay. You're hoping that they get a lot of reps. Yeah, hopefully they get a lot of reps and they'll be better by the end of the year. So there's some things to take away. Be happy that you got out of there with a W because it definitely should have been worse. You probably should have lost that game. If there are no turnovers, you definitely would have lost. If you're even in a turnover battle. So, just be happy with the win and move on to the next game. You got Iowa, and you can't turn the ball over against Iowa because you'll lose. So
no, and I think I will say this about what Michael and Let's Toast Media are saying. I think I agree with Devin Gardner and Sam Webb that if JJ hits those deep balls, then it's a different discussion. He just didn't hit them.
But he didn't. He didn't. Right?
He didn't. No.
He didn't. He didn't do it. So just be happy with the win. Listen, I think no offense, but I think you guys see this talent and you fall in love with it. There's a process. Listen, CJ Stroud's probably arguably the best quarterback in the country. And I don't know if anybody remembers, but when he went against Minnesota last year, first couple of games, Oregon, like they were having the same conversations like, hey, and he ends up being a Heisman finalist. So, pump your brakes. The kid has to learn, right? He's got to learn. He hasn't played enough. That's just what this boils down to. He hasn't played enough. So he's going to be weak in some areas. He needs game and rep experience. You can't teach that. It doesn't matter how much you practice. The 1 or 2 little trick plays that they like to run doesn't mean very much. This is his first opportunity, so give him some time. He's gonna play. He's gonna make mistakes. He made a lot of them in that Maryland game, and they were still able to. The team was still able to overcome it, which is good. But that's not always going to be the case. So hopefully they get him in the lab, get him in the film room, work on those things. clean up those things. So if not, then you're a team like Iowa will beat you if you make those mistakes that he made. They'll beat you.
Yeah. And the other thing that I think people need to think about when you think about Iowa, they're physical as well.
Very.
They're
very physical at the point of attack. Yeah.
And they're physical. So watch out for a big hit. I mean, I'm not hoping JJ or someone gets cracked, but just they may not be the most offensively gifted team, but they have a way of I like to think of it as a Ken Norton versus Muhammad Ali. They have a way of making it a little ugly. So
very yeah.
They're at home.
Yeah, they like the we call it muck it up. They like to muck it up the game. Yeah, yeah. They like to win ugly. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. Is that in Iowa? Is it in Iowa City?
Yeah, it's out there. It's
Iowa
out
City?
there.
Oh.
That's why
wow.
that's why the game is giving me pause. So a lot of folks were like,
okay.
"Oh man, their offense sucks. We're gonna blow them out." Okay. All right.
I mean, their offense does suck, but they don't turn the ball over, right? So, and that's kind of what I was alluding to. Like if Maryland doesn't turn the ball over, Michigan doesn't win that game. Now, Iowa's offense is nowhere near explosive as Maryland's is. Not even the same, ballpark. But this is a game where it has to be very strategic and very well thought out, methodical. And execution has to be, 10 out of 10, because that's how I would beat you. Teams like I would beat you like that. They wait for you to make a mistake and then they jump all over you.
Mm-hmm. Abdul is giving his usual Harbaugh smack here. He says, "Characters that head coach don't win national titles. Serious guys do." Serious like Nick Saban, Abdul?
Don't do it.
I'm not gonna. I won't play the drop. I won't play a Nick Saban drop. All right.
Don't do it.
A few more stats, then we'll wrap up. So let's see. Let's start with passing. So right now, you guys are leading the Big Ten in passing, off of the brilliance of C.J. Stroud. 1,356 yards and 17 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Okay.
And fair critique. He's not throwing the deep ball as well as he did last year. But it is the first 4 games. I believe that Ohio State is doing something that not a lot of people are going to pay attention to. They're running the football a lot. So, they'll be ready come cold weather. And I think their offensive line, we're actually playing with guards this year. That's a crazy thought that an offensive line doesn't play with the guards, but Ohio State does crazy things. So, we're playing with the guards. DeJuan Jones playing awesome on the right. Kid from Cincinnati or Dayton is playing really good on the left, so he's going to be a first-round pick. So I mean, you got two incredible running backs. Just got to stay healthy. Looks like we're getting nicked here and there, but just got to stay healthy. So I'm excited for what they're doing, and we found another weapon in the tight end. So everybody complains how we don't throw it to the tight ends, and now it seems like all we do lately. So, but there are some things they need to clean up. We need to get that deep ball taken care of. CJ hasn't thrown the deep ball as well as he has last year. So, and I think once that happens, it might the running game maybe open up a little bit more. You'll be able to get some of those longer runs from Henderson. So, we'll see what happens. I mean, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So, they'll figure it out. I mean, they're the best offense in the country, so I'm sure they'll figure it out.
Okay, let's toast media. You say where y'all get that blueprint from? Are you referring to the statistics? Are you referring to something we're talking about? If you're asking about the statistics, Mike says the Big Ten Network. Yeah, this is off the Big Ten Network website. I'll drop the link there. You guys can always Google this too.
Yeah.
It's all online. And I'm just going to take a quick look at the rushing. So, yeah, top 3 run offenses are Minnesota, Michigan, and Ohio State.
Yeah.
And it goes down from there.
There's a trend.
Yeah, I'm not going to. Okay. In terms of rushing defense, we're right next to each other. Okay.
So your schedule doesn't count. It
But
doesn't count when
again,
you play Hawaii
that's
and UConn. That
deceptive.
doesn't
That's
count.
deceptive because
That
we
doesn't
played.
count.
Yeah. So same deal with the passing stats. We played Colorado State, Hawaii, and UConn.
Yeah.
So we won't know. We won't continue to find out until what we have until we go deeper into the Big Ten season. All right, Alex, do you have anything else?
No, that's all. That's all I got. That's all I got. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens over the next 2 weeks. We might have an opportunity to give you guys something really awesome. So we'll see.
Okay. Well, Alex, that's cool, man. That you're out at a game and we can hear the whistles, and we have a football stream going, and we actually have actual whistles and activity there in the background.
Yeah, we got our butts kicked, but it was they changed the game because of the storm. We weren't supposed to play for I think till Friday, and they moved it up. So,
is there a hurricane coming through?
Yeah, it's actually projected to hit just south of where I'm at. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's kind of heading right towards me. It should be here Wednesday night, Thursday morning. So what they're projecting. So, been through them all. Not really worried about a hurricane.
Okay. All right. Well, we had one come by the DMV years ago, and it was a little scary.
Yeah, it's not bad. Once you've been through one, listen, it's windy for about 4 or 5 hours, and we're fine.
All right, my friend, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this one up.
All right. Have a good evening.
All right, you too. All right, everyone. Well, once again, so Michigan is 1-0 in the Big Ten East. The Wolverines just escaped Maryland, and if you go back and listen to my earlier content, I've had this game circled. This game, the Iowa game, out in Kinnick Stadium. That's where we lost Wilton Spate back in 2016, and the rest of that season went sideways. And it's just, in my opinion, it's a tough place to play, and we're taking in a young quarterback and an offense that is still gelling and finding its way, and a defense that is still finding its way. So I mentioned that Jake Moody missed a field goal against Maryland, which is unusual because he never misses, and he won quite a few games for us early last season. So it's entirely possible that we'll need Jake Moody to be clutch on Saturday to pull this one out. And then we might go in there and just blow the doors off. Who knows? Yeah, Joseph says, I'm just glad it's not a night game. Yeah, when Wilton Spate broke his collarbone, that was on prime time. That was prime time. That was 2 weeks out from Ohio State. And yeah, I'll never forget that game because I'm going to say this, and I'm going to shut the stream down. The 2016 team, the weakness of the 2016 team was the running game. Davion Smith was carrying the ball. I'm not saying he was a bad back, but he wasn't very explosive. And our offensive line against Iowa, and then 2 weeks later against Ohio State, our offensive line just couldn't get enough push late in the game to kill the clock. So in that Iowa game, we were a little too heavily reliant on Wilton Spate and the skill position players. And he took a bad hit and he broke his collarbone. And that was the weakness of that team. But it was an ugly game. They wouldn't let us. We couldn't get separation from Iowa in that game. So, but that's their style of play. And they're disciplined and they're physical. So you have to not beat yourself, and you have to exploit the advantages that you have when you go into Kinnick Stadium to play Iowa. Okay. All right, everyone. I'm going to shut this stream down. I just want to get in here and make something in advance of the Iowa game. So Yeah, let me know, especially if you're watching on the playback. Let me know what you think the outcome of Saturday is going to be. Will Michigan still be undefeated, or will Iowa hang that first L on us? I'm gonna finish with once again with what Jim had to say about the Iowa game. Michael says, "Yeah, the INTs by Spate did not help. Yep, that didn't help either. That didn't help either. But the running game, in my opinion, was the weakness on that 2016 team." So this is what Jim had to say about Iowa.
They have a system. They know their system. They get good at their system. And it's a national story every year. Iowa's offense is struggling. And you read those articles. But it's that way every single year. Mm-hmm. And half the time they win the Big Ten West.
All right. So hopefully he's telling his players that. All right, everyone. Thank you for watching. If the algorithm brought you here, please consider subscribing to the channel. Please consider subscribing to the channel. If you want to make a donation, my information is below. And you can also leave a super thanks if you see fit. The information for my newsletter is below as well. In addition to being a YouTube content creator, I'm also a writer. If you're watching on the playback, well, first of all, thank you to everyone who hung out in the chat: Abdul, Mike, West Coast Media, Joseph, CR Frank, Adrian, everybody, Alex, thank you for coming through. If you're watching on the playback, yeah, please let me know what you think the outcome is going to be on Saturday. This is the first big test, in my opinion. We survived against Maryland, but this is the first big test, and it's on the road in a place where we normally don't have a lot of success. So everyone, enjoy the rest of your night. Go blue. And as always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude. Take care, and I will talk to you the next time. Bye-bye.